Hello again and welcome to another Mordy and Glory bolt action video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever critical eye over another bolt action unit. Recently, I've been on a bit of a trend looking at lend-lease vehicles, ones that can be used by multiple allied armies. And I thought I would continue with that by taking a gander at one of my favorite vehicles of World War II. The first time I saw this thing, I fell in love with it because of how odd it appeared. With its ridiculously high profile and its main gun being on a sponson on the side of the vehicle, I'm of course talking about the M3 Lee, also known as the Grant in British use. And so without further ado, let's not mess around. Let's take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of this bolt action tank. Now, normally I would start these videos with an overview of the unit in question, but as is the case with a lot of American tanks, they went through multiple different iterations and improvements over the course of the war. Therefore, what I'm going to do is start off with the basic M3 Lee and work my way through the different models, highlighting some of the key differences between each one and some of the advantages and disadvantages that each one of these marks comes with. With all of that said, let's begin with that basic M3 Lee. Its principal service is from 1941 to 1943, and there were 6,258 of them manufactured according to the Armies of the United States book. This means that it is a firmly mid-war vehicle and one that was very widely produced, so you can comfortably pop it in to your bolt action armies. It's not one of these experimental units or something that was designed to be used but never made it to the war in time. Nope, there's lots and lots of M3 Lees and they were used in all sorts of situations. You can take the M3 either inexperienced for 176 points or regular for 220 points, but there is no choice to take this as a veteran tank. Now, if you're new to bolt action, you might be wondering what is the difference between inexperienced and regular? Surely you just go for the one with the cheapest points cost, right? Well, the reason why you wouldn't go for an inexperienced tank generally is because any inexperienced unit starts off with just a -1 to hit modifier. So even though you're saving a few points, you're still spending 170 odd points on a tank, which is going to be at -1 to hit pretty much the entire time. That's not good for what is likely to be your only and most expensive unit in your list. Also, they have lower leadership, so they're less likely to do as they're told when it comes to orders, and makes them very, very susceptible to pins as well. So when it comes to the standard M3 Lee, I would always take it as regular. It is a shame that you can't take it as veteran though, because it does come equipped with a gyro stabilized, full mounted medium anti-tank gun covering the front and right arcs, and a gyro stabilized turret mounted light anti-tank gun with coaxial MMG, and also a cupola turret mounted MMG. Now that's a lot of guns. We've got machine guns, we've got light anti-tank guns, we've got medium anti-tank guns, and if this thing could be taken as veteran, then with a lot of those weapons being gyro stabilized, it wouldn't actually suffer penalties for moving and shooting. Unfortunately, you can't take it as veteran, so you're gonna have to take it as regular. And so if you do move this thing, it will suffer a -1 to hit penalty. But let me emphasize that this thing is bringing a serious amount of DACA to the tabletop. It's no more expensive than a lot of other medium tanks. For example, if you look at things like the British Cromwell, which is 205 points, so it's only 15 points cheaper, and that only comes with one medium anti-tank gun and a couple of MMGs, one of which is coax. This comes with a medium AT gun and a light AT gun and 2 machine guns as well. So you're not missing out on any of your potential anti-infantry firepower, and you're actually getting more anti-tank. And yes, it's only costing you 15 points more. So it's got a good bang for its buck. It's also important to point out that despite the fact this is one of the earliest M3 Lee iterations, it's still a medium tank, so it has a damage value of 9+. Sometimes you find with these stopgap measures or these early war vehicles that really should be medium tanks, they end up being like light tanks. There's a few Russian examples I can think of, but no, this is a full-blown medium tank, and that is good because it makes it pretty durable and allows it to not take any hit. You know, a super heavy anti-tank gun hits a thing, it's still going to go through the front and out the back, but it does mean it's pretty resistant to things like anti-tank rifles, light anti-tank, and it's only really when medium anti-tank comes in that it starts being threatened, and it's only truly in danger when the heavy anti-tank or higher starts making a play. Next, we have the M3 Lee's special rules. The first one is HE. This allows the vehicle to do a 2-inch blast template with its medium anti-tank gun, even though normally it would only be a 1-inch template. This is a big advantage that a lot of allied tanks have. It represents that specialized HE shell they used, and it's great because it further increases the anti-infantry capability of this vehicle, and infantry is really important for action. In fact, the game is often described as the infantryman's game. So take a look at this vehicle for a moment. We've got a tank which is putting out a 2-inch blast template, and you don't have to fire the turret light anti-tank gun. You can instead use the MMG, and then you've got the cupola turret mounted MMG as well. So you've got a very rare beast here which can put out 2 MMGs without having one of them to be pintle, so it's exposing itself an open top, anything like that. So just 2 MMGs and also a blast on just a standard medium battle tank. It may look funny, but this thing is packing a punch. Unfortunately, with this being an early M3 Lee, it does have a couple of special rules which are debuffs, which are nerfs, which are negative. The first one is easily catches fire. This is a bit of a killer, I'm not going to lie. If a roll on the vehicle damage table results in the vehicle catching fire, you add D3 pin markers rather than just 1 before taking a morale test. Now on your regular M3 Lee, if you set on fire, that means you're going to have 3 pins on you. You've then got to pass a leadership test getting 6 or less on 2 dice. On average, you're going to roll a 7. So if this thing sets on fire, statistically, it's going to go on fire, the crew are going to bail out, and you're going to lose it. So easily catches fire is a bit of a pisser, to say the least. You also have vulnerable. Because of the riveted construction, all shots to the side and rear of the vehicle get an additional +1 penetration modifier, i.e. in total for +2 for size and +3 for rear hits. You know how I said before how this is a medium tank and it can take a good punch? That is true until vulnerable comes in. Do not let the enemy get the side hits on your M3 Lee. On the front, it's tough. It can take a punch, it can get in a direct firefight, it can go toe-to-toe with a lot of medium German tanks, a lot of mid-war German tanks. But if they get on the side, even with light AT, you are on a one-way train ticket to Pain Town. Now, these disadvantages might sound like a really big problem, but good news is that the next M3 Lee that we look at makes some much needed improvements. This is the A1. Now, the A1 was practically identical to the previous model, but had a cast upper hull instead of the riveted plates, which means that it has the same gun on the side, the same gyro-stabilized medium AT gun, the same gyro-stabilized turret-mounted light anti-tank gun. It's almost identical in every single way. There's only 2 differences between this and the basic M3 Lee. Firstly, it's a little bit more expensive. It costs 192 points for inexperienced and 240 points for regular. But again, no veteran option. Again, it's a bit of a pisser because you can't use those gyro-stabilized things that you probably want to. But the advantage is, because you are paying a few more points, what does your extra 20 points cost on your regular A1 over your basic M3 getting you? No longer have vulnerable. You still get the big HE, and you still easily catch fire, but the side shots don't give an extra +1 anymore. This means that you can be a little bit more aggressive with it, you can push it down a flank, start bullying some enemy infantry with it, and even if the enemy gets a side shot on you, it's no longer the death sentence that it was. It will be up to you as a player if you decide that you want to spend those extra 20 points. Because at the end of the day, those extra 20 points, they're making you more durable, but they are not increasing your damage output, your offensive capability in any way, shape, or form. If you are going to try and play around vulnerable, try and be like a high skill player, like, look, I'm just going to take the cheaper option and play well so I don't get hit on the side, then it's worth saving the 20 points. But if you know there's a chance that you're going to be getting flanked, if your opponent's lighting lots of anti-armor options that can hit you from multiple angles, you know your local game scene or the tournaments that you like to play in are going to go for those side shots, then it's probably best going for the A1. But remember, the A1 still easily catches fire. If you want the most durable M3 Lee, you need the M3A3. Now the A3 was produced between 1942 and 1943, same as the A1. But it didn't enter service quite as early as the basic version. That may limit some of the scenarios you're going to take it in if you're a stickler for playing the game historically. In a normal pickup game, you should be fine. Now it will cost you 200 points for inexperienced or 250 points for regular. So again, on that regular tank, we're now looking at 10 points more over the A1. And we're looking at 30 points more over the basic M3 Lee. Because with all of the same guns, gyro stabilized, hull mounted, medium mounted tank gun covering the front and right arcs, blah, 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 blah. It's a medium tank. The special rules, though, that's where it changes. No easily catches fire, no vulnerable, just the big HE, the good one. So by the time we get to the M3A3, we've got rid of all of the disadvantages of the tank, but we are paying for it. And a lot of the comments that I made about the A1 apply to the A3. You as the player need to decide whether you want to risk it and go for the cheaper option, save those 30 points, because all you're looking at, the only factors you're taking into account to your game plan are damage output, or if you want to have a bit of an insurance policy and spend 30 points more and take this thing as regular and as an A3. If you're not sure which way to lean, if you're a newer player, I would probably suggest the M3A3. And there are two reasons for this. Firstly, more straightforward. If you're a new player, you're going to have loads of rules to remember, loads of things bouncing around and to juggle in your head. So having a tank that doesn't have all these special rules, especially bad ones, is good because you don't want to have to try and keep track of that. And also, what I would say is if you're struggling to decide, write your list as if you were taking a basic M3 Lee. And if you get to the end and you've got like 30 points left over and you think to yourself, well, I could like put a medic in there or a crappy anti-tank rifle team, it's not really going to do anything. It's an extra dice in the bag, but that's about it. And extra dice is good, but that's about it. It's all it's doing. If you get to the end of your list and you find that you've got 30 points left over and nothing meaningful to spend it on, just bump that M3 up to an A3. Now, you might think at this point that that's it. We've had the basic M3, we've seen various iterations that have improved it, got rid of all its disadvantages, there's nothing else to look at here. You would be wrong, because there is one more Lee that we need to have a look at, and that is the M3A5. Now, this was produced between 1942 and 1943 as well, and 591 of them were produced, so not a huge amount, but not rare enough that it's an experimental vehicle. It definitely out there doing things. Now, this has all the same guns. It's a medium tank, but there are two key differences in the A5. Firstly, you can take it as veteran. There's 184 points inexperienced, 230 points regular, 296 points veteran. So if you do want your M3 to move and shoot without penalty, if you really want to take advantage of the gyro stabilized, full mounted medium AT gun and the gyro stabilized turret mounted light anti-tank gun, then this is the one to go for. You're going to pay a lot for it, almost 300 points, but it will give you drastically increased mobility. And there are some people that say that movement wins games, that mobility is the number one thing in almost any war game. The problem, though, is it does have a negative special rule. It brings back the vulnerable, because apparently there was not enough potential, not enough capacity to produce enough cast hulls. So they ended up going back to making some of the riveted ones. That's obviously a bit of a problem because it does make your vehicle, well, vulnerable. Get hit on the side, you are likely to pop. To give you an example, someone hits you with just a medium AT gun on your side armor, they are going to penetrate your M3 Lee on a 4+. And bear in mind that that means you've got a 50-50 chance of just dying on the vehicle damage table. That's not ideal. If someone's hitting you at just a bit of light cover, it's going to be a 4+, followed by a 4+, followed by a 4+. In bot action, those are damn good odds. So the vulnerable is a big problem because it does reduce its durability. But if you, again, are someone that's looking at just damage output and you're thinking, I want maneuverability, I want this thing zooming around the board, I want to always be hitting hard, hitting accurately, then the M3A5 Lee at Veteran may be the tank for you. But bear in mind that this thing is now at Veteran costing 76 points more than your basic M3 Lee when it's taken at its highest veterans. That's a lot of points. In fact, that could be a whole new unit in your army, and not just a crappy one like a medic or a tank rifle. You have to decide, do you want one Richter maxed out M3A5 Lee, or do you want to take basic stripped down version and just play around its weaknesses and play around its potentially bad maneuverability? Overall, however you look at it, the M3 Lee is a really nice medium tank. Sure, it's got some durability problems, but it's got a lot of anti-tank firepower, it's got a lot of anti-infantry firepower, and it's got a reasonable price tag as well. I quite like it. And if I was to take one, I'm a bit of a sucker for not having negative rules. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't like taking negative rules in my vehicles, even if it saves me a few points. So I'd probably go for the M3A3 Lee and take it as regular, because you paid a little bit more than a standard medium tank, but not so much more that it's going to massively cut into your list and force you to make some drastic changes or limitations in your other units. It's a nice balance between durability, firepower, capability, and maneuverability. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you like the M3 Lee? And if so, which variant would you go for? What is your favorite? And are there any other tanks that you want me to review or units that you want to review as part of this series? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash the like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.